In the year 1847, deep within the Colorado Valley, a young family arrived searching for peace and a new beginning. Elias Warren, a war veteran, his wife Margaret, and their 2 children, Thomas and Clara, had left the crowded East behind, hoping to build a farm where the mountains kissed the sky. They didn't know, the valley they chose had a past. A place the native tribes once called, the Valley of Silence. Locals whispered that no man stayed there long, for every dawn brought a strange echo, as if the land itself was mourning something lost. As Elias drove the wagon down the misty trail, the wind carried a low hum, not from the trees, but from the ground itself. That first night, the family made camp near a dry creek bed. The stars burned bright, but the air felt heavy, like the valley was watching them. Margaret couldn't sleep. She heard faint voices, whispers she couldn't understand, coming from the direction of the mountains. When she woke Elias, the whispers stopped. He brushed it off as the wind. But Clara, their little girl, whispered back, "Papa, they said they used to live here." The fire flickered, and went out without warning. Weeks passed. Elias built a small cabin by the creek, and the valley seemed to accept them, for a while. The crops grew fast, animals returned, and the children laughed again. But sometimes, when the wind rolled through the canyon, Elias swore he could hear drums, slow, rhythmic, ancient. One morning, he found strange carvings near the barn, symbols cut deep into the wood. They weren't there the night before. Margaret begged him to leave. But Elias said, "This is our land now. Nothing can chase us off." The valley listened, and went quiet. One cold evening, a rider appeared, an old man, wrapped in a tattered army coat. He claimed to be a trapper, but his eyes were sharp and knowing. He warned Elias, "You shouldn't stay here. The valley remembers. Blood was spilled here long before your time." Elias asked what he meant, but the man only looked toward the mountains and said, "They buried them where the sun meets the stone." But not all rest easy. By morning, the rider was gone, and only his footprints remained, leading nowhere. That night, a storm rolled down from the peaks. Thunder shook the cabin walls, and the wind screamed like 1,000 voices. The children hid under the bed as lightning flashed, revealing figures outside the window. Shadows. Dozens of them. Elias grabbed his rifle, ran out into the rain, but the field was empty. No one there, only footprints in the mud, barefoot, small, circling the house. Margaret wept, clutching Clara close. Something in the valley had awakened. At dawn, the rain stopped. The creek had risen, washing away the soil near the barn. And beneath it, Elias found bones. Hundreds of them, human bones, old, weathered, and buried shallow. He realized the truth, this valley wasn't empty when they arrived. It had been taken, and now, the past demanded its price. 2 days later, Clara vanished. Elias searched the woods, calling her name until his voice broke. He found her shoes near the creek, beside them, tiny handprints in the mud, leading into the water. The same symbols from the barn were carved on the rocks nearby. Margaret lost her mind with grief. She swore she saw Clara's reflection in the water, smiling, whispering, "This is their home now." Winter came early that year. Neighbors who traveled through the valley months later found the Warren farm deserted. The cabin stood silent, door hanging open. The table still set for supper. No bodies, no signs of struggle, but carved into the cabin wall, above the fireplace, were words burned deep into the wood, "Let the valley rest." For decades, no one lived there again. Travelers who crossed the valley at night said they could hear a woman's voice calling through the mist, and the faint laughter of children. The locals renamed it Warren's Hollow, but the old ones still call it the Valley of Silence. They say the land remembers everything, and some echoes never fade. In America's untamed past, land was taken, lives were lost, and stories were buried beneath the soil. But in the quiet corners of forgotten valleys, history still breathes. And if you ever find yourself in a place where even the birds don't sing, remember the Warrens, and listen closely. Because the valley might just be whispering back.